To access ArmoníaPlus, select the ArmoníaPlus tab located in the middle section of the upper window of ArmoníaPlus or press F4 on your keyboard. The ArmoníaPlus menu is broken up into 7 different tabs on the left-hand side of the page. These are Event History, Active Events, Inputs, Speakers, Amplifiers, Mains, and Measurements. In the Event History tab, we can see the date of the event, the type of the event, whether this was caused by a device or a software, priority, low, medium, or alarm, and the description of the event. We can also export the list to a file and/or remove the list. In active events, we can see the events and alarms that are happening in real time within the audio system. Here we can see an example of a loss of amplifier communication. We can clearly see which amplifier is disconnected and precisely solve the issue. By looking at the Events History tab, we can see that this alarm has been recorded by ArmoníaPlus. In this section, it is possible to monitor the inputs of the system, which are divided into active, passive, and missing categories. These are the inputs that are playing, independent of the format. We can monitor the total number of inputs channel for Dante AES67, AES3, or analog. Under Status, we have the possibility to ignore one or more channels to ensure ArmoníaPlus disables sending an alarm. For example, muting the master bus on a console. In this example, we have 2 active inputs. These are the signals that are present in the backup strategy, ready to become active as needed for our input redundancy strategy. Here you can see 2 passive inputs in the example shown on the screen. This shows signals that are lost but were previously present within ArmoníaPlus. These can be either active or passive inputs. To have input status reporting, first we would have to save a reference for the system to know how many active and passive inputs should be available. To save a reference, make sure that all relevant active and passive inputs are playing. Click on Save Reference. Now the input status is saved. At any given point, when the active input is lost and our reference changes, we can see that an alarm is shown within the Inputs tab, informing us that our reference status has changed from our active input to our passive one. You may also clear your reference at any point by clicking Clear Reference. In the Speakers tab, it is possible to check the status of the loudspeakers, which amplifiers they are connected to, which output they are connected to, the wave's description, overall output gain, headroom, and impedance of the loudspeakers. In the Active section, we can monitor whether a speaker is with signal, without signal, or muted. Here in this example, you can see that we have 1 active loudspeaker within our workspace. The Headroom section allows us to monitor positive headroom, limiting, and heavy limiting. It is important to remember that headroom in most cases is defined by the loudspeaker's limiter settings, and that it cannot be changed in most production applications. Positive headroom means that you still have available positive dB to increase the level of your loudspeakers. As you can see in this example, we have 6 loudspeakers showing positive headroom. Limiting means that you have reached the limit of your loudspeakers. Heavy limiting means that the channels are limiting more than 12 dB of gain reduction. This could be because you have an undersized system, increase the number of loudspeakers, or select a more powerful loudspeaker. Under the impedance section, it is possible to check if the speakers are working within the nominal threshold range, which ones are inactive, and if any loudspeaker is in fault. This information is based on the impedance entered in the speaker preset information. If no value is entered, the result is always within the nominal range. In this example, you can see that we have 2 active loudspeakers within their nominal impedance range. Inactive means that the amplifier is not reading the impedance. It will show the last measurement made. This could be due to low voltage on the line. If fault is shown, this means that the measurement is out of the established nominal threshold range. Under the Amplifiers tab, we can monitor the status of each amplifier in the workspace by name, model, serial number, temperature, and firmware. In this category, we can monitor the amplifier's online, standby, or offline state within the workspace. Here in this example, you can see that we have a few amplifiers in different states. One Quattro Canali online, a T604 online, and a mezzo that is in standby. Each amplifier model has different temperature ranges where they can work, and different points inside the amplifiers where the temperature is taken to be monitored. To simplify readings, we have opted to display this in percentage. 0 to 100% is an optimal range for working. 100 to 150% limits the outputs to reduce heat and help cooling. More than 150%, the amplifier can turn off to protect itself. You can see here in our example that all amplifiers are within their optimal operating range. Within firmware, we can monitor the total amount of amplifiers that are updated, outdated, or not supported. The status of the amplifier in the Amplifiers tab can be OK, Virtual, Discovered, meaning that an amplifier is seen in Discovery but it has not been added to the workspace, Standby, Outdated, which are amplifiers that have more recent firmware available for upgrade, and not supported. As you can see in the example shown here, all amplifiers are OK and updated. Under the Mains tab, it is possible to monitor the mains of each amplifiers in the workspace. Status, rack name, the rack where they are positioned in the workspace, amp device, their name, amp model and serial, the amplifier model and serial number, phase, voltage, current, and power. The status of an amplifier in the Mains tab can be OK, Virtual, Offline when the connection to your network or amplifier is lost or the amplifier is turned off, Warning, Phase, the amplifier has a lost in phase, Warning, Voltage, the amplifier has changed from its average operating range. All amplifiers shown in this example are OK and within normal operating ranges. In Health Plus, we can measure various data points of a system. These measurements can be input channels, data related to the loudspeakers, or measurements that concern the mains power. To select a measurement, click on the measurement icon. When the icon is lit, the measurement data point has been selected. If it is grayed out, the measurement data point is inactive. The columns present in the measurements are Remove and Show, Color, this allows you to change the color of the measurement, Category, this shows the specific data point category, Name, Parameter, this shows the specified data point selected, Max and Min, this indicates the maximum and minimum value of that particular measurement, Cursor, which shows you the value of where the mouse is positioned. In the Inputs tab, we can measure the input level in all formats, Dante AES67, AES3, and analog. Here in our example, you can see that we're monitoring the two Dante inputs on our T604. The data points will track for a 1-hour time period, after which we'll refresh. However, the measurement logs will be stored to our local machine within the default file path found in the Measurement Log tab of ArmoníaPlus's Preference window, and will represent the last hour of use. We also have the option to look at shorter points in time and dBu by scaling the time window on the x-axis and dBu on the y-axis of the graph. Here you can see we are looking at a 30 minutes time window with a dBu scale of 15 dBu. In the Speakers tab, we can also measure the headroom and impedance of our loudspeakers. Here you can see, like in our input measurements, we also have the option to view this time window on the x-axis. However, on the y-axis we can view our dB level for headroom and ohms for impedance. These increments can also be scaled, just like our input measurements. We can of course measure the temperature of our amplifiers. Here you can see us measuring the temperature of 2 amplifiers. Within the Mains tab, we have the option to measure phase, voltage, current, and power. You can see that when looking at our graph, time remains a constant on the x-axis, but while viewing phase on our y-axis is represented as 1 to 3. Voltage, on the other hand, is represented on the y-axis when measuring. Current is represented in amps, and power is shown in watts on the y-axis of the graph. Health Plus can have a maximum of 10 measurements enabled and display a maximum of 2 different ranges at a time. It is possible to hide the measurements and delete all. In Events Reporting, you can enable various users to receive an email report sent by Health Plus every hour. You can choose the language in which you want to receive the report, whether to receive the events of a specific project or global of any project loaded, and also choose whether to receive only the alarms plus medium events, or alarm plus medium and low events. For Health Plus email reporting to work, it requires a computer with ArmoníaPlus running and an active internet connection.